the sky is impossible. Now the square root of impossible is me.
If you are not intentional about letting your children know how amazing they are, how great they are, how powerful they are, the leader that they can be, who they can be, then this is what's going to happen. However, when you build it correctly, brick by brick, starting at the foundation, when you build that way with them, when they walk out of your doors, they are going to be strong. They're going to be ready for whatever comes their way.
See, if you want to see some people, if you want to fix something that's wrong with you, you can go down to Dr. Miami and you can fix a few things that's wrong with you. But if you want to fix your heart this morning, you got to take it to the King this morning and ask God, create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me.
We look at ourselves, especially when we're in school, we're in high school, and we notice that because of our beliefs, because of how we carry ourselves, we may not be popular with everybody. Anybody feel like that? Any of my young people feel like that? You go to school, you're trying to live right, you know you're not supposed to be doing everything that everybody else does, so it kind of makes you a little unpopular. Anybody go through that? Okay, I got one over here. Oh, I got a few back here. Thank you. You're not doing everything, so you're not popular. Oh.
They knew because all the things that are in this cup, when I drink this, it is allowing me the opportunity to have the confidence to step up and stand up to you to say, I'm not going to bow down to the thing that you want me to bow down to. And there may be some people on your job, there may be some people at school that you got a boss that they want you to bow down to them. You got somebody, you got a spouse they want you to bow down to. No, I'm not bowing down to nothing, because the word of God says, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And I know for sure if I stand on his word, I'm going to stand here and ain't nothing going to come against me, because God is able.
Because if we have participation without revelation, we don't get a manifestation. In other words, if we just lift our hands, we don't know why we lift our hands, we get nothing out of lifting our hands. If we do a thing and we don't know why we do it, if we get baptized and we don't know the meaning of baptized, we just get in some water, we went down dry, but we come out wet. Why? We had no revelation. If we just receive the elements and know that where it represents the blood, it represents the bread of the Lord, the body of the Lord, we don't have a revelation, then we don't get anything out of it. But the Lord wants us to get out. And what he wants us to get out, he wants us to have a renewed confidence. Somebody say confidence. That when we receive communion, it should remind you that we have confidence in our covenant. Well, praise the Lord. God bless each and every one of you. Welcome to our midweek Bible discussion. We're so delighted that you all are with us tonight. You know how we do it. If you're able to, we know many of you're watching and you're not able to. But if you're able to, let us know who you are, maybe where you're watching from. Chime in, say good evening to us. Good evening to all of you all that are with us tonight. We're so glad that you're with us. And all those that are with us that you're not able to respond for whatever various reason, we are so delighted that you are with us for our midweek Bible discussion. We believe that God is going to do some great things in our time together. Just remember, as always, to be sure that you like, comment, and share so it can get moving in the Facebook algorithm so others may hear about the word. Greet us as you come in. We're excited about the word that you heard on yesterday, on just a minute ago. We was talking about confidence now mentality. Well, I'm looking forward to our discussion. Again, we're glad all of you are here. So I'm going to bring in our panel that we're going to have tonight. We're looking forward to a great time. And so I want to bring in our panel tonight, and glad they're here with us. Good afternoon, good evening, gentlemen. We're glad that you all are with us. What it do, Elder Hill? Tell me what it do, Elder Hill. How we doing?
Oh, bless, Pastor, bless. I mean, it was quite very insightful words on Sunday. I mean, just listening to them, just really pumped me up. And I am definitely ready to rumble and roll with this tonight.
Amen. We're looking forward to it. So Elder Hill told us what it do. What it look like there, Elder Henderson. What it look like tonight, Elder Henderson.
Oh, Pastor, it's all good. Everything's kosher over here, as they always say. But everything's
Amen.
good. Everything's
Amen.
good.
Good.
Everything's
And
cracking.
it's crack-a-lacking. So, Elder Powers, how we doing? Hey, will you all let us know? We're welcome to have Elder Powers back. He had some contract negotiations he's been holding out, and so we're glad that we got his contract negotiated. Glad to have him back on our panel. He's been a holdout, but it's got to take care of business, so he got his contract taken out. So we're glad to have him with us
He
for
was
the
going
first
out for the
time
wrong
this year.
reason.
He's been a holdout, so we're glad to got that contract. Ready to get back to business. So how we doing, Elder Powers? What it look like? Pay
Hey,
the man his money.
all is well. All is well. I'm the Lamar Jackson of New Life. Give me my work.
Amen. So he been holding out on the LDL, but hey, we got it. He got it. We just let it. We don't get it. Nobody said anything. Nobody get in the man's pocket. So he negotiated his contract. And he's back with us. So welcome back. Glad to have you. He been working out on the sideline, So glad to have you back. No, Elder Powers been helping out with our youth on Wednesday night, and so he wouldn't hold out. He's been helping with our youth. So, but we're glad to have you back with us, Elder Powers. Excited about tonight. You looking forward to our discussion tonight?
Oh, definitely looking forward to it. We had a really, really powerful service with our young people. I mean, it was amazing. And it's always good to share and try to motivate our young people. But I also know that a lot of the adults was blessed as well. So I'm ready to get in there and see what God has for us on tonight.
Well, let's get started tonight. We're glad that you all are with us on the replay. Really excited that you all back on the replay that's watching us and those that are watching live. You know how we get the most out of this experience, that we don't want to just be a conversation for us four talking heads tonight, but we want it to be a dialogue. So we want you all to chime in as you always do. You add so much value to the discussion. We see your comments and things that you have to say. We're having a 3D discussion, meaning that we're about to go deeper in our discussion so that we can become better disciples. Because when we learn in 3D, we don't just hear it one time, but we discuss that thing. We go deeper in it. We learn in 3D so we can live in 3D dimension, meaning that we can make a difference with our lives. We can learn how to reach our destiny. And then beyond that, we can learn how to lay up for ourselves treasures in heaven where moth and rust doth not corrupt. In other words, we learn how to make kingdom dollars and also natural dollars that God empowers us in our discussion. So we're excited. So we look forward to hearing from you. Our theme for this last Sunday was a confidence now mentality. That was our theme when we called it, some call it youth takeover service, but I think when we're going to start calling it elders, it's our family service, family oriented service, that it's about family. That's what it's about, meaning that not just the adults, but even the younger kids coming down and then being able to sit with their family, being able to deal with the total family. So we're excited about what God did on Sunday. Let's start with you tonight, Elder Henderson. We started out our theme was confidence now mentality. That was our theme for today, and our youth danced and blessed us in that. And then little Ashlyn, boy, she blessed us with singing. I think about the square root of impossible is me, something like that. But boy, she really blessed us. It was just a powerful time, and that was our theme. But then we started off with Brother Ashley. He shared with us, kicking it off. He talked about keeping your confidence when you are not being popular, when you're not popular. Can you share what hit you? Because when we all hear different things. So what hit you, Elder Henderson, as you heard that message go forth Sunday?
Yes, Pastor. Before I get started, I see First Lady out there throwing those jabs at us about our glasses and stuff. So, we got to do what the doctor tell us to do. When they tell us you need to start wearing them, you need to start wearing them. But anyway, I really, pretty much all of it. His wife, I really like how she kicked it off as well. But when
go ahead and share with her too. Share with her too. What hit you about Stephanie, then go into him as well, Elder.
Okay, yeah, I just like how she started talking about the foundation, and I really truly believe that we have the foundation, especially for our kids. As she was talking about the foundation, how she used that, showed that house that was falling down, but didn't really have a good foundation. And then she showed the brick house, how it had a foundation. And that foundation is what we speak into our kids, what we share with our kids even before they leave the house. I've heard plenty of our members talk about how they start off in the mornings before their kids even go and stuff, that they begin to speak words into them, because I think that is so key, because as she said, as soon as they get out there, you know, there's going to be words spoken to our kids, even, and we don't have no control of that. We have no control from the time they get off on that bus until the time they get back, what they may hear and what may be said to them. But when we speak stuff to them and we share with them what it is that they need to know, they'll know how to identify those things. So I really thought that was really good. Also with Brother Ashley, and how she used the mirror, with those stickers, and let the kids come up there and pull something off about I'm beautiful, I'm wonderful. I really like that. And I really think that really, really helped those young kids, because those ones that really got, I guarantee they took it home and they stuck it on their mirror, they stuck it on their wall, and they probably been using that all week long, talking about that. So she really did something in there. And I like how Brother Ashley, when he was talking about the who's you, understand your assignment, understand who you are, understand whose you are. That is so true, because when we don't understand our assignment, we don't understand whose we are and who we are, we can easily get our confidence taken away from us from other people, because we're not popular, like as he said, we're not the one that's running around there. Everybody's oh look at him, this person that. You can really lose that, and that's for adults as well. We as adults can still understand that. I remember in school, we had this guy, I'm not going to call his name, but he was voted most popular. But Brother Ashley says something. He says, your popularity will fade, but your value will not. And I remember he was voted most popular. And unfortunately, right now, he in prison somewhere. So he's popular, but he ain't popular for what he thought he was going to be popular for. So that goes to show you how your popularity, if you just walk around thinking about how popular you are, that's going to fade one day. That is going to fade one day. You're going to get old, whatever. You ain't going to be able to do things that you used to can do. That's going to fade. But your value will always be what you are.
Amen. That's good, Elder. That's so good how you talked about Stephanie, about having that good foundation. So our house, if we don't, our house will lean. You're right. He in Gen Pop, and that's where he at now.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're right, Elder. That is good. What about you, Elder Powers? What stood out to you from the Overbees? I want you to chime in on Ashley, but if you want to share something with Sister Stephanie as well, with her message that she had.
It was I really thought it was great. Just the visual of the house falling down, and it was so touching, because I can see how young people get crushed every day. They can get crushed every day, but if they don't have the right people pouring into them, which is their parents, they will fall. Eventually, it's gonna happen. It's only so long a kid can go without being affirmed from their parents, to where they will crumble and they will fall. So just seeing that visual of that house was amazing, and it was just a constant reminder to pour into your kids. Even my kids, every morning before they leave, I try to affirm them every single morning, and it's so now they do it amongst themselves as they standing by the door. They say some things that I used to say to them, and I don't have to even say it anymore. And so it's a great thing to affirm your kids. And I know we busy, and I know we forget, and we go in different places, but that is so necessary, because there's going to come a time to where they're going to have to lean on their affirmation when the world is telling them something totally different, the opposite of what they're saying. So I thought that was great. With Ashley.
And let me say this, Elder, before you come in there with Stephanie. Mm-hmm. I look at that as far as even, for the body, even Jesus talked about, if you don't build our house on a solid foundation, it'll fall. So even as us adults, if we don't have it, and that's why I'm excited, and I'm glad that you all are with us tonight, that you on replay in our time when we're coming out, elders, like on Sundays. We don't just do this out of religious tradition, but what we're doing, this is how we're getting those bricks. And that's what your leaders do. We're giving you bricks on Sunday in the messages, in the singing, the praise team. Really, they're giving you bricks of affirmation through the songs that we sing and building your worship life. So even as adults, Because if we don't have our foundation, our house will lean like that as adults. And it's our coming together to learn and to grow, not just to come and to check a box, but to learn. So I salute you all for coming out, because that gets me excited somewhat as like a spiritual parent, you know what I mean, for the body, that we're affirming them. And that's why I believe many take the approach, leaders, that they when people come to church, elders, they're upset because they say people are playing church and living one way and doing another thing. So they come with this mentality that they're going to whoop people when they come to church. They're going to whoop them for this. I take the approach just like a parent. I want to affirm people in who God say they are, who they can be. And I believe by doing that, that's how we help build them up. Yeah, people don't do right, but when people know who they are and they fall in love with God, the Holy Spirit able to do that. And so I think we can look at that even from a leadership standpoint, not that people are little kids, but God used that, spiritual parents and leadership. That's why he call them elders. Why? Because you're older. We're big brothers, and that's how we're building. So I salute you all for you not having a leaning house, because just like that house we were saying for your kids, adults will be the same way, elders. And so that's why I'm glad it's important that we do this and we encourage people that Bible study don't be something that we don't do anymore. Coming to church is not something that we do every now and then, but it should be a constant part of our life so that we can give people bricks to build. Just had to throw that in, elder.
Oh, yes, sir. Great word, Pastor. Great word. Now, brother Ashley, he was talking about popularity, and I like when he was talking about you gotta know who you are. Very, very important to know who you are. And he said you gotta be an original, not a copy. You know, and he was talking about Noah, and Noah knew who he was. In spite of the rain not coming, he continued to do the assignment because he knew who he was and he knew what he was supposed to be doing. And but you know, if you just think about it, can you imagine like looking at Noah build that boat and then somebody trying to replicate that boat that he was building? And what's going to happen is if you looking at somebody else doing something and you don't have their instructions and you don't have their assignment, and you're trying to copy that boat don't sink. Because what you're doing is you looking at something that God is telling somebody else to do. God gave somebody else an assignment and somebody else instructions, but he has the details. You looking at something and you don't know what that person went through, because yeah, you can copy, but you can't handle what I've been through. You can't handle what it took to get to where I'm trying to go. And so that's why it's so important to be an original and not a copy. You gotta build your own boat from the instructions that God gave you, and not from what you're looking at from somebody else. Because if you're looking at somebody else, that boat is not going to be, you're not going to have a successful built boat. What you're going to have is, it's going to be some leaky holes. It's not going to be big enough for the storm. It's not going to be designed the right way. But when you take your instructions from God to build your boat, it's going to be built for the storms that's going to come, the rain that's going to come. And so that's why it's so important not to be a duplicate. You could try to duplicate, but the results, you know, ain't gonna be the same. You can try to duplicate, but you ain't gonna have the same results as Noah had, because Noah had his own instructions. So no matter how hard you try to be like somebody else, or how hard they try to be you, they can never be you. So I really love that. It resonated with me, because popularity don't mean anything to me, and it shouldn't mean anything to us. What should matter is what God told me to do. That's what matters. What he told me to do, what's my assignment. And because, man, think about all the people in high school. Think about all the popular people in high school. All the popular people, what are they doing now? A lot of them ain't doing all the right things. But the people that were smart, going through their assignment, doing what they're supposed to do, those are the people that by default became popular.
Man, that's good. To focus on your assignment, because that boat won't float. That's good, elder. Man, that is good. That should encourage people not to copy. And so don't hate on all the popular people, you know. You know, I was class favorite, so don't hate on everybody. So I was one of the top. I don't hate on all of them. I was voted one of the class favorite, but I was saved though, because mine says 2 Corinthians 5:17. For we walk by faith. 2 Corinthians 5:7. We walk by faith now. So I was a class favorite. So don't hate on all the favorite. Don't hate on all of them. They all doing a little something. So I wasn't the most. I wasn't the king. I wasn't the class, but I was one of the class favorites though. So just don't hate on all of them.
But you were, Pastor, one thing, you was popular in your assignment. You was popular, you was saved, and you was walking, doing what you supposed to be doing. That's all right to be popular doing what you supposed to be doing.
Yep. My that was my quote. 2 Corinthians 5:7. So he's calling me Lil Deek. There go Lil Deek. Go ahead, Elder Hill. What hit you from Elder Brother Ashley's message on Sunday?
Well, Pastor, actually, I was also impressed with Sister Ao's house, because the thing there, everything has to start from a good foundation. I mean, that's pinnacle. And being a person that that's a builder and a tech guy, unless you set your kids up for the right parameters so they can think about themselves, right there, that's half the battle. And not being popular, I really like that. I really like that message, because that means you're brave enough to go beyond those perceived expectations. Because you don't worry about the embarrassment about being by yourself. And the thing that I really like, because a lot of times when we read the Bible, all right, we don't really look at what God has actually poured into individuals. All right. And, growing up, I've seen different images of the ark until I actually went out and saw a true replica of it. I was just all in awe, because when you first look at it from the front, you'll probably think it's a rudder. But actually, when God gave him the instructions to build it, he actually gave him the instructions to build a bowless bow, a bubbleless bow. And believe it or not, that is a device. Well, I won't say a device. That is an element that's on large ships and stuff that really did not really start coming back into view until like about 1913, because when God gave him the instructions to build it, all right, he knew the weather that he would have to endure, because of the size of the boat. The boat was basically too big, to have a manual rudder. But he built it so that it would actually stabilize itself. And the thing is, with that, a lot of times when we're getting fresh manna from heaven, you're not going to be popular, because it's going to be something that's brand new, something that nobody ever heard of and never seen. But the thing that was, I felt that was quite dynamic about that was he was strong enough in himself to follow the directions that God gave him. Because actually, I mean, there's a whole lot of, there's a whole litany of like modern tech that's in the ark. That you could actually study and go over for like hours.
Oh, that's good. That is good. That go back to full circle what Elder Power said. That's why you got to follow your instructions and follow what he called you, and not trying to be popular and follow somebody else with it. Yeah, that's good. I like the awe that he did. That awe, I really like that. That awe and realizing your assignment and who you are, and when you're not that popular person. That's so good. Let's stick with you, Elder Hill. Let's continue to dive deeper into this. Not only did Ashley share, but Elder Powers, he talked about keeping your confidence when you're not feeling your look. He dealt with that, when you're not feeling that look. He talked about going to Dr. Miami and stuff like that. And so, what would you share? What hit you from that message with Elder Powers that can help us, Elder Hill?
Well, Pastor, I mean, it was like I said, everything was just outstanding, and I could relate to a lot of that because I was really not one of those guys that was at the cool table, and so the thing is, I would say first, as an individual, you have to have a positive evaluation of your own personal self, because the main thing about that is being secure in yourself. And that starts with being happy with yourself. Because if you can't be happy with yourself, you can't identify those flaws that you need to be able to identify and know the reason why. And you actually have to stop concentrating on what you're lacking. I mean, because you're going to always lack something when you're going to compare yourself with somebody else, and then, you got to start feeling that I am capable. All right. I do contribute value, and start somewhere, because you as an individual can make a difference. And a lot of times that's what we get caught up in. Like I said, we want to measure ourselves to somebody else. I mean, I wish I could sing, but you don't want me on the praise team. And from time to time, I always joke with with Elder Powers, I can sing in the key of W, which is wrong. But the thing is, you have to be secure with yourself, and that's where it starts from. Because you're not gonna always look like what you're gonna accomplish. I mean, like I said, the Lord has truly blessed me in a lot of ways. On paper, it's one thing. When you see me in person, you be like, "Oh, is that the same guy?"
Oh no, I think you measure up both ways, both on paper and in person, Elder. We got some bad people in our body. That is good. I like that I'm capable and I contribute. That's an affirmation that we need to grab a hold, to realize that we are capable, that we do contribute value. Many times people don't have that because what they'll look. What hit you, Elder Henderson, from it? I hear that Miami stuck out to me. People going trying to change some stuff, man. And they get caught up into that, and that really affect young people and older people. Many times people still in that. But what hit you, Elder Henderson? We'd like to hear from you all too that are watching with us. What stood out to you?
Yes, Pastor. I like what you said too about when he was talking about the Miami. And then he said, stop taking your masterpiece, others that can't even value you. Oftentimes, we have to realize that, our true who we are, just as he said in the scripture when he started talking about 1 Samuel 6, inner part of you, but man looks at outside. And if we don't really get a good understanding of that scripture, we can get so caught up with what's happening on the outside of us, and we can try so hard to try to make ourselves to be something that God has not made us to be, trying to please other people and things because we are not satisfied with what we think we should, based off of what man said, because we don't put our confidence in man and not our confidence in God. What we got to understand is that true confidence is truly rooted in God. And if we never get that understanding that true confidence is rooted in God and not in man, we will always have problems with our confidence. God promised us. He said he promised to give us mighty and valuable things when we call upon him. Sometimes we fail to call upon God, and we want to call upon man. We want to go to Miami, we want to go to New York, and we want to try to make ourselves look like something that we truly are not. We have to be understand. You got to understand. You have to be careful with who you allow to be part of that intimate part of your life. Because when you let people get into that intimate part, that's when they come in and they try to make you into somebody that you're not. So I really like how he talked about that. Don't let people get so close to your masterpiece. People that don't even value you, people that don't even value your masterpiece, and they're trying to, and you letting them get so close to you. Me and my wife have some things in there. My wife, I can take some things to because she's my wife. But there's some things that I just can't take to other people and expect them to give me some feedback that I need, because guess what? I'm caught up in myself. And that's what happens. It becomes self. And then we become so motivated about what we think we should be, and just say, you know what, God, if this is what you made me to be, God, if this is who you called me to be, then God, I'm okay with that.
I really like that. God, if this is what you call me to be, you make me to be, I'm okay with that. Accept acceptance. And what hit me, Elder, I thought was so good. It just dawned on me as you were speaking. And to come back what you said, Elder, that I contribute. We was dealing with the young people more so from the physical look. Because, you know, that's when a lot of things when you're going through puberty and, you know, and the girls are changing and boys or whoever, and you're dealing with acne and so many different things that it's a lot of just physical. We know some people still deal with that as adults. Sometimes, a lot of time, our ladies can still deal with that, you know, be a beautiful person, but I don't like my weight. I don't like this. And then it bleeds over. Why? Because the world image, Elder, that world tell us you got to have, you got to be like this. You got to be like this. So that's why we go to Dr. Miami, because the world told us we got to be like that. But it hit me beyond that. Even in the spiritual, that's what just hit me, Elder Henderson, when you were speaking. Many times people don't accept their spiritual look, meaning that the equipment, what God is giving you in the spiritual, you know, that's why why? Because, I don't have the singing gift, or I don't have the preaching gift. Well, I don't have the communication gift to be before people. That's not my gift. So I don't like that. I want to be able to get up there and, you know, grab the mic. Many people, Elder, know the word, can articulate the word, but everybody hasn't been called to share the word for everybody else publicly. They're better one-on-one. That's why they can be a good counselor, be a good prayer. But what happened is our esteem could be hurt. Why? Because I can't get up there and preach, or I can't teach, or I sing, but I don't lead sing, or I'm a support person, and I'm not called to be the main point leader, but I'm a support. And what happened is, Elder, we can feel bad about that and feel like we don't contribute, that we're not important. And worse than that, we can take on and try to get attributes and try to do stuff that's outside of our lane. So now you're trying to do stuff that you're not called to do. You were never supposed to be the leader. You were never supposed to be the main leader. You were supposed to be support, but because you didn't accept that, you feel like I got to be the main leader, and that's why we failed in doing stuff. Because you were supposed to be a great number two. You were supposed to be a great number two on a powerhouse team, but because you wasn't great. I got to be number one. I want to be senior. Oh, I want to be this. I want to be elder. I think elder got more clout than deacon. So I want to be that. Or I think the prophet got more clout than elder. I want to be prophet. Oh, no, I want to be apostle because they got. And so elder, we get out of our lane instead of saying, God, I'm gonna be who you want me to be, and I accept that. That's that spiritual look, Elder, that I pray that people be able to accept themselves and who God has called them to be spiritually. And then this too, Elder Henderson. If we don't go to the right people, your right leaders, concerning how you feel and see yourself spiritually, people will push you into stuff that you never was called to do. I didn't choose to be a pastor. I didn't ask to be a pastor. I mean, it wasn't in my mind to be, you know, I didn't say, I want to be the pastor. Why? Because, you know, he's the senior pastor. The buck stopped with him. That wasn't in my mind. It's just what God chose and how God do it. And so I think many times people can do that. Like now, I'm not a bishop. I don't have 10, 15, 20 churches over me. God didn't call me to be that. So I'm okay with that I don't have 20. Why? And I don't have to have that to be somebody. And so I think we got to realize that, Elder, that is so good that many times people get out of their lane and people push them into other stuff. We got a lot of ground to cover, but anything you want to say on that, because that's got a lot of people out of place, Elder, because other people push them and say, well, I want to be a prophet because that sounds better. Anything y'all want to say on that? Because that hit me, not only the natural acceptance, but the spiritual acceptance.
Yeah, Pastor, I think and it's easy to identify when somebody is not satisfied with who God has called them spiritually. It's easy to identify them when they start operating outside of what God has called them to do. And then they wonder why people are looking at them that way. That's just one of these easiest way to get your confidence taken away from you, is when you start operating outside of what God has called you spiritually, because you're not going to operate in excellence. You're not going to be effective with it because you're doing something that God has not even prepared you for. So I think that is key.
You're right, Elder. And sometimes people push it, or sometimes we think, well, I want to lead. I can do what powers can do. I can do what music, and that's not your place. Why? Because we compare. That's not your gift. Anything else, Elder, before we move on? But that just hit me, that spiritual look, Elder, and accepting ourselves and being okay with where we are, how our spiritual look.
Yeah, I think, Pastor, it goes back to popularity. It's the peer pressure to be popular, because it's a popular thing when you when you have a title. It's a popular thing when you're up front, when you stand out. When you're not in the background, that's not a popular thing. And so you have a desire to stand in shoes that you wouldn't built for. That you stand in shoes that your feet ain't the right size for. And that's because of popularity. Because church has, I think church has a popularity complex with some people, because if I'm not doing this, it must not be it must not be a thing that it's not fulfilling enough. It's not fulfilling enough to be an usher. It's not fulfilling enough to come and clean the bathroom. I got to do something bigger. Big don't mean effective. Big just big for you and big for me are two different things. Cleaning up is big for you if you're walking in your calling. Singing is big for me if I'm walking in my calling. But singing will be small for you if you're not in the right place. And so that's the biggest thing, is being in the right position to where you was called, not being in the right position to where you think is popular.
Wow.
Yes, Pastor. And I will add to that is a lot of times people don't understand the importance or the significance of that support role. You know, that behind the scene. You know, I'm a person. I have a watch collection. All right, and I like analog watches. But when you buy a nice watch, the only thing you see is the face of it and the hands. If you had the capability of seeing everything that was behind that, so that the part that you could see will work, you know, you would have a total different perspective on what you bring to the table. You know, a good example, the people that's working in the sound, the people that's also working in the audio. It's always been my firm belief, everything that you could see, feel, and see happens right there. Because if it don't happen there, then you have a problem. So as far as the flow of the environment of the service, it's important that the sound is proper. It's important that the video is done right. Those are supporting roles, and a lot of times people, they may not see that. They may not even know that those people exist, but they play a very important role. So, you know, just caveating on what everybody else say, it is imperative that you understand your role and you play your part.
That's it. We'll move on, but I think that's the key. You got to know your role and your value.
Yes.
You can't depend on other folks to know your value. Like Vincent van Gogh, because if he would depend on other people to know his value, he could have died a sad man.
Yes.
Why? Because sometimes it takes time for people to recognize your value. And sometimes you can't wait until they recognize it. Sometimes it might be after you dead, but you got to recognize it. They didn't recognize Jesus' value, but he knew it before he died on the cross. So you got to recognize, and that's why, as a man thinking in his heart, that's so good, Elder, because there's so many people in church struggle that way, and they get out of place because they trying to be something that they're not. That is so good, and I like what Elder Muse said, but we got to move on. But wow, Wearing Shaq size shoe would make you look like a clown. God, I don't want to look like I don't want to be a clown. Trying to do something I wasn't called to do. But I'm secure and I'm in my gifts and my calling and my assignment. Thank you for my assignment and my calling and my anointing. Amen. That's what somebody typed that. Thank you for my assignment. I mean, we ought to really be thankful for our assignment. I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for my assignment. I don't have to be in New York. I don't have to be in ATL. I don't have to be where, oh, it's a more people, more. I think there's a fulfillment in that, Elder Henderson, like you said. I think people really need to get that. Let's move on. Elder Powers, I'm going to ask you what stood out to you from your message on Sunday. But anything that you didn't get to share, Elder, that maybe didn't make the cutting floor, or you just ran out of time when you were sharing with us on Sunday about, the word that you were sharing about when you're not feeling your look.
Yes, sir. And Elder Henderson mentioned a little bit of it, but the master is the only one that can evaluate a masterpiece. He's the only one that can truly put a price on your value, because God can see through our imperfections and still see the best part of us. He can still see the best in us, even when others can't see it. But God just want to know one thing. Can I use you? Are you available to be used? No matter what we look like, no matter what we're going through, he just want to know if you will be available, because God can use anything and anybody. And if he's choosing you, are you available? Moses had problems. He had issues. He was stuttering, and he had to go stand before Pharaoh and speak. But he made himself available to be used by God, and that's why he was successful. The successful people are the ones that say, you know what, God, I might have some imperfection. There may be some things that's going on with me, but I'm available to be used by you. And the reason why we lose our confidence is because we minimize ourselves. We put a improper evaluation on our own selves and our own ability when God already gave us the tools and the ability to be able to do what we call to do. So why, when you put a bad evaluation on your own self, you basically saying to God, I ain't got enough to do what you call me to do. But God gave us all the tools that we needed to be successful and accomplish, to do everything that we supposed to do. And so don't minimize yourself, because you minimizing what God placed on the inside of you. You minimizing what God gave you. If he only gave you the ability to sing, that's all you need. If he only gave you the ability to clean, that's all you need. If he only gave you the ability to cook, that's all you need. Now you got to find out where I need to cook at, where I need to clean at, where I need to sing at. That's your responsibility. But you got everything you need. But are you available to be used by him? That's the key.
Wow. You got it all. But this is healthy. This give you confidence. If we really get that, Elder Henderson, you got everything you need to be successful. I'm trying to do football, and they can't teach speed. You still got everything you need to accomplish your assignment. Everything that you need. That might not be your full assignment. That might not be the end of your assignment. But if you realize that, you can always be confident that I got enough for what God called. I'm still figuring out what all he called me to do. But I know I got enough though. See, if you realize that, well, I'm trying to make it to the league, Elder, and I'm just a 4.6, 4.5. That ain't gonna. I got enough. I don't know how it all work out. I don't know. I'm trying to figure my assignment out, but I'm confident because I got enough to do what God called me to do. Sometimes you just don't know what all he called you to do, but don't let that mess with your confidence and thinking that you lack. Man, I might lack at that, but whatever the master called for me to do, I got enough. I'm just trying to figure out where to do it, how to do it, because I might be the best coach ever, or whatever it is. So I think that's so good for our confidence. That because you're not good at everything, you can't do everything, but you got enough to do what you call to do if you're available You develop those gifts. That's real good. Let's stick with you, Elder Powers. Let's go deeper in it. Pastor Jacoby shared a good word as well. He talked about keeping your confidence when you're facing peer pressure. What hit you from that? I think let's dialogue about that. Let's talk about, the peer pressure. What stood out, and explain why.
So he talked about what's in your cup, and people carrying around stuff in their cup and not knowing what's in there. And we carrying around like anger and bitterness because we've allowed like the wrong people to pour it into our cup or whatever. But here's the thing that we got to know. It might not be your fault what's in your cup, but it's your responsibility to have it fixed. It might not be your fault, but it's your responsibility to take it to God. You can't expect the person that hurt you to help you take it to God. It's like a hit and run, right? Somebody hit your car, damage your car, they leave the scene, and you stuck with the damage. But you can either keep riding with the dents, you can either keep riding with the damage, or you can go get it fixed. That person that hit and run, he already done showed you, I'm not coming back to help you get it fixed. So it's your responsibility to take it, and it got to do the work. And you got to take it to the master so he can fix that damage. And so once you realize that there's something in your cup that is not right, and you'll know it, people will know it. Because think about it, when you riding in a car that's damaged, even if you can't see it, everybody see the dents in that car. Everybody see the damage on the outside of that car, and you can't even see it, but they see the damage. And so somebody might be, hey, can I pray for you? Can I help you? They see your damage. And so you got to allow yourself to go to the altar so that that damage can be fixed. You got to allow yourself to get prayed over so that damage can be fixed. You got to come to church, get into praise and worship so that damage can be fixed. You got to position yourself so that damage can be fixed that we carrying around.
Oh, well, that's good. Because the wrong people, because of peer pressure, we got different wrong things in our cup. But then sometimes could be from our parents, from people, enemy, stuff in our cup. And this is how you know when your cup not right, when you don't feel right, when you realize when your swag ain't right. See, that's damn it, my swag. I don't feel confident. I feel like I'm not important. That's something in your cup that got you not feeling confidence and good about you. When you don't feel good about you, you don't feel good about, when you don't have a good self-esteem, a good self-worth, when you don't feel, that means somewhere, something in your cup that you got to realize that something right, because something ain't going on right. And I'm praying in the name of Jesus that God begin to show us, like you said, what's in our cup. Maybe you didn't realize he did a great example with that. But that's so good. Elder Henderson, chime in on this.
Yes, Elder Powers, you kind of hit up on some of the stuff about, but I continue on as he was talking about, what's in your cup. I think it's good for us to understand really what peer pressure and what kind of people that like to apply peer pressure. Because when you don't understand and know those pressure, you won't understand when you actually having peer pressure. And I think bottom line is people who try to apply peer pressure is people who are arrogant and stuck in their own ways. And because they're arrogant and stuck in their own ways, they're trying to get you to do something that they want you to do. But because if you don't know that, you're not able to protect your cup, because he started talking about carry your cup. But see, when you know that, it's your responsibility to protect your cup. And as long as you protect your cup, you'll be able to identify when those people are coming in trying to, exactly, you protect it, because then you'll know, oh, I know what this is about. I see what he's trying to do, trying to get me to do something that he wants me to do. And then you able to protect your cup. But when you don't really know what peer pressure is, you get your cup contaminated with a whole lot of things, and before you know it, you wondering why you walking around saying, man, what happened to me? Everybody's saying this about me. I can't do this, I can't do that, because you didn't protect your cup, because you wasn't able to identify people who was applying peer pressure to you. That's why it's important for that. Protect your cup. Carry your cup with you everywhere you go. Don't put your cup down so people can grab your cup. And if you put your cup down, now you find yourself over there trying to deal with somebody else's cup, and when you look back, people just pouring into your cup.
Oh, man, that's good. Haters, you can't let what people haters say get in your cup. Stuff that people post on your timeline get in your cup. Stuff that you heard somebody talking about you, what they said about how you deal with your grandkid, how you deal with your mama. You shouldn't did your mama like that. You shouldn't. I heard how he did. El, you didn't do right. You didn't do right by your sister. I heard how you did with your brother. And you can let family can get in your cup. And now you feeling bad. Why? Because you didn't come home for your brother's retirement. What kind of brother you, Elder Henderson? You could have came, but they don't know your situation and what you had. But you the bad guy, because you didn't come for your brother's retirement. You wasn't there. You don't win in Oklahoma and forgot. See, that'll mess with your cup. Religious people telling you supposed to be saved, doing that. You just a hypocrite. That's what's wrong with it's people like you why people don't go to church. Man, if you're not careful, that stuff can break you down and say, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I'm going to stop coming to church until I get myself right. You can let people get in your cup, man. They can tell you, see, that word was for you. You out of your lane. You ain't paving the lane God put you in. You know what they were talking about? And that could be the wrong person. And they'll get in your cup. God didn't call you. Who told you was a prophetess? And if you're not careful, Elder, they'll get in your head. So we got to watch who we let get in our head, Elder, because it'll put doubt in us.
And what it does, and that's exactly as you were saying that's what dawned upon me is if you're not careful, you allow that peer pressure to change your behavior. That environment that you done got into, you allow it to change your behavior. But when you know what it is and you know what is happening, then you can allow your behavior to change. Instead of the peer pressure changing you, you can change it. You can like, nope, I know what you're trying to do. I ain't finna let this get to me. I'm gonna move on. I'm bigger than this. I ain't finna take this on. So that's what dawned on me when you said that. Don't let that environment or that peer pressure change your behavior.
Oh, Elder Hill, boy, I got so much, but I won't ball hog. I'm gonna dribble. I tell y'all after we cut it off. So go ahead, Elder Hill. Oh, this is good.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is good, Pastor. And I myself, I truly like that analogy of the cup. Because when I saw it, the question I had to ask myself was, okay, the cup. Who gave me the cup? All right. The Holy Spirit, God gave me the cup, because it says, my cup's gonna runneth over. All right. And the thing is the question I also had to pose myself, do I have a personal revelation of my ability? All right. The cup is like a coach versus an athlete. They don't work in opposition of each other's ability, but they work in conjunction, in perfect harmony. If the Holy Spirit is the coach, is God's responsibility to place us in order to maximize our capabilities here on the earth. Our problem is sometimes we don't want to accept the cup that God has given us. And since we don't want to accept the cup that God has given us, we're not maximizing our capabilities. We're not maximizing our purpose. We're trying to emulate something that God never even intended for us. So yes, I really like. I really like that cup. And when he showed putting Kool-Aid in it, right? Okay, God is pouring the right stuff in us, but how many times are we allowing someone to contaminate what God is pouring into us?
Wow, that's good. Man, that's good. I think about, Lord, here's my cup. I lift it up. That we want God, the one who we lift our cup up. But besides that, you need to have a filter on your cup. They tell young people this. I know you, if you're trying to get your drink on, you in college and all that, you got your little red cup, whatever cup. You don't just leave your cup sitting nowhere. Well, oh, I'm out there dancing. I'm going over here. No, why? Because people have put stuff in your cup that'll mess you up. You got to keep your cup. And I was thinking about this, First Lady, because we often talk about it, that when it comes to church, that's why you don't just let anybody be praying over you and laying hands on you. Why? Because that's your cup. Now you said, well, I'm not talking about, see, when you're at your local church should be a safe place where it's like when you go to a restaurant, Elder Henderson, if you at the restaurant, then you're pretty much believing, I think everything is good in the back. I ain't got to go to the back and say, hey, y'all wash your hands. Because if you there, you pretty much believe that this is a clean place. If not, you're not going to go there. Well, when you're a local church, you're believing that the people that are praying at the altar, the people that are doing that, they're good. So that's good. But when you go outside of your home base, don't just run up to altars. Don't just because somebody, be discerning. Don't just let anybody and be laying hands on you, praying over you, speaking. That's your cup. Don't let anybody just be prophesying over you, speaking at you and saying, lift your hands and speak. And people you don't know, that stuff will get in your spirit. You say, well, what do I do? Did I be rebellious? No, you can, if they say, okay, you're in the church, lift your hand. But you have, in the spirit, you have a filter on, like, okay, I ain't letting everything. I'm like a little bird going, cheep, cheep, cheep. Don't be like a little baby bird, letting cheep, cheep. Just, no, you listening. I'm hearing it, but I got a spiritual filter, Elder. Why? Because that stuff will contaminate. It'll mess your spirit up. Because you let people get down in your soul, praying over you, speaking over you, falling down. Fall down, but have a filter on. Yep, speak it, but I got a filter on. Why? I'm judging what you're saying. I'm not being judgmental, but I'm just not saying, yeah. And if you're not careful, you start all that crying, all that, and open up your spirit, and that stuff will get in you, and it can contaminate you. Why? Because you let anybody get in your cup. So we got to be careful with that, Elder. You're so right. And that's with church and anything, with people just speaking to you. I want to counsel with you, and you taking it all in. That's why you got to go to other people and say, is this accurate? Why? Because they can be like, that part was good, but that was bad. Don't let that get in you. Why? It had a little poison in it. So that's good. Elder Hill, before we run out of time tonight, let's go even deeper. This is so good tonight. Since we talked about confidence, I think it's only appropriate tonight that we help believers, because they didn't really get into it with the assignment. How can we unlock our confidence? Share like 2 keys, but with those watching tonight, that if maybe they got some stuff in their cup and they don't feel confident as a husband, as a wife, a business person in their life, give a couple keys to help believers unlock their confidence. I think you're muted, Elder.
All right. Yes, Pastor. First of all, like in Proverbs 3:26, it says, for the Lord shall be thou confidence, and shall keep thou feet from being taken. So right there, it gives me a word that I can lean on. And at the end of it, I like it when it says, he would keep my feet from being taken. So that means as long as I'm staying with the plan, all right, God got me. First of all, what I would advise someone to do in the practical is you need to find someone that's going in the direction that you are going, or in the direction that you're planning to go. Then you need to make yourself some plans. In the military, they always talk about planning. So you need to make a short-term plan. You need to make a mid-term plan, and you need to make a long-term plan. And then you need to also track your progress, to make sure that you're staying on course. Because a lot of times, when we make plans, it's real easy to deviate off the plan and get sidetracked. So that's the reason why you got that midterm goal, so you can make sure that you're staying on that. then you need to tell yourself that I bring value and purpose to the environment. All right. So number one, I'm believing in myself. Then I'm telling myself that I am comfortable with my difference, because I may not look like this person, I may not react like this person, or I may not, something about me is different. But I am comfortable with my differences. I am comfortable with my approach, and I'm also comfortable with my thought process.
Elder, that is so good. I want to crystallize this even from my own self. So I'm going to type, say I'm comfortable with my differences, my difference. And you said I'm comfortable also with my what?
With my approach.
Wow.
Right? So that means, within my plan, I have come up with a systematic plan so I could get to where I need to go to. So I'm comfortable with the approach that I'm taking. And I'm also comfortable with my thought process in evaluating how I'm getting there.
Oh man, I think that's so good, Elder, that I'm comfortable with my difference. And I think how you wrapped it up in wisdom. It ain't just like you going willy-nilly. You getting sound counsel from somebody that's going in the direction that's a little ahead of you. So you getting coaching and mentoring. But as you're going through your process, what your approach, whatever's different about you now in the journey, you got to get comfortable with that. Some people are not. I don't do it like Elder Henderson. I don't do it like Apostle Schofield. I don't do it like Apostle Tanya. When I teach, it ain't like that. It ain't like that. And see, what happened is you got to be comfortable. But in the coaching, in the training, that is so good to be confident. Because if you're not comfortable in your own skin, you never win. Because you're not. Everybody know when somebody not comfortable, they can say the thing. You good? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. You okay? I'm okay. But you can tell, that they fidgety. He ain't comfortable. People know when you're not comfortable. And sometimes we got to be comfortable. Oh, I like that. I could go on and on, but let's go to you, Elder Powers. That is so good. Give us a couple keys to unlock our comfort. I like that, Elder. That's real good.
I think sometimes we could be our worst enemy because we criticize ourselves more than we encourage ourselves. When we criticize ourselves, we are basically putting ourselves down, and you're basically telling yourself what you cannot do. And so what we have to do is we have to get to a point to where we're encouraging ourselves and stop criticizing ourselves, no matter if it's a learned behavior, no matter if family did it or you've seen family do it, but we definitely can't go into that. We can't put our own self down, because now, you already getting put down by other people, and now you putting yourself down, and it's hard to come out of that. And I think we have to celebrate. We have to celebrate our successes, no matter how small they are. Even the little bitty successes, we have to celebrate them, because we already deal with people minimizing the things that we've accomplished. And it doesn't matter if it's small things. If you say, "Hey man, I lost 5 pounds," it doesn't matter. Celebrate those small victories, because it's gonna give you the motivation to continue to go get another victory. Because if you have past victories, then you can have future victories. So you have to celebrate every victory that you had, and don't minimize them, because those things are big. Because it might be a small victory now, but then that's going to give you the motivation to go out and have a big victory. I think another thing, we have to drop some dead weight. This one's going to be hard. This is going to be hard to hear, because it was hard for me to hear when God was telling me this. We have to drop some dead weight. We got some people that we carry that's holding us back. They're holding us back because some people make us feel comfortable with doing nothing. And we have to embrace the people that challenge us to be great. And it doesn't always feel good. It doesn't feel good when people are challenging us, but it feels really good when people make us feel comfortable where we are. But those people that challenge us, that's going to help us elevate to where we need to be. And so we have to surround ourselves with the right people that's going to help motivate us to be better than ourselves. Because the worst thing we can do is be around negative people and give negative people access to our ears. And I think we have to set some small achievable goals. Like set some small goals, achieve some small goals, and then it'll give us a sense of accomplishment and motivate us to accomplish more.
Man, that's good stuff, man. I hope y'all picked up on the replay. You go back that what these elders putting down. These are gems. I'm telling you, they are giving. I mean, what man? What's the name of that steak? Big steak, man. This is prime steak, man. I mean, this is good. We just don't have time to break it all down. That is so good, Elder Henderson. But that is good. Not to beat yourself down, to celebrate those victories and what that this is how we get. This is confidence food. When we see people that walk, what Elder Henderson's about to tell you too. I don't even know what he's gonna say, but I know it. This is the stuff that people have internally going on when you see people who like, man, they got swag. You can just tell some people they got that swag. It's a reason. They done the work. They've done these things. They went through and they learned. They learned to be comfortable with their differences. They had talks with themselves and they realized, yeah, I'm different, but it's okay. And they got to a point where they did it. These things just didn't happen naturally all the time. There was work. There was teaching. There was book reading. Drop some more on us, Elder Henderson, that we'll see that people that got that swag.
Yes, Pastor. I think one of the things that you got to understand to help you unlock your confidence is you just got to believe God's version of your story. You just got to believe God's version of your story. What he thinks about, what he's already spoken to you, what he's already told you. You just got to get it in your mind and say, God, if this is what you call me to do, and if this is my story, God, I believe it. This is who I am. I believe it. And you'll be more confident in yourself than anything anybody says to you. When you just get that, I think if you can just get that part and just say, you know what, this is the story I got, and this is my version, God, I'm okay with that. I think what we oftentimes with it, Pastor, is we want our story sometimes to be our story. We want a story, but God says, no, I didn't call you to write your story. I call you to watch me write the story and you walk the story. And when we get that understanding, you have that's when you can walk with your head up high. You ain't gonna be walking with your head down low because you said you've already got in your mind, God, this is my story. This is who I am. I'm just gonna do what you said I need to do. And I really believe that is just enough. That alone right there can help you unlock your confidence. Elder Powell, I know you had mentioned this a little bit, but I just want to call it this. I call it that negative chatterbox. That negative chatterbox in our head. What we got to understand is we got to release that. We just got to release that negative chatterbox, because what happens is that's not something that's in your spirit. That's really the devil trying to do something that he wants to talk to you about, but he's afraid to. So he gets in your mind and he begins to talk to you about, hey, you're not worthy. You can't do this. You wasn't called to do this. Because what you have to do is when you get that negative talk, you got to make sure you got somebody that you can call upon. You begin to say, man, I don't feel like I got it anymore. Because when you got a friend that you can call upon, that's you, they gonna check you and say, no, we're not finna let this happen to you. We finna move on with this, but we're not finna let this happen to you. So you got to get somebody when you start that negative call on that they gonna check you. I heard those ladies the other day when my wife was talking, and they was talking about how they check each other. They check each other when somebody going to do something they not be right. And you got a friend that's gonna check you, not in public, because sometimes we don't want them to check us in public. We want them to come back on the outside and say, I heard what you said over there, man, but you know what? No. You wrong. You wrong for what you were saying there. No, that ain't what God called you to do.
Wow, Elder. Man,
I'll stop right there.
You dropped the bomb. You dropped some bombs, Elder. We're gonna move on, but man, this is here. That's the whole message. God's story, because that's perspective and paradigm. That's why you don't have confidence. Because it's called your narrative. You believe in other people's narrative, the world narrative, instead of God's narrative on your life. This is, I'm just letting you know, this is why you need good Christian coaches or counselor, because I've been trained as a coach, and what a good counselor do is called framing. See, when you have a picture, sometimes the picture, what make the picture better is the frame you put around it. It's the same picture, but you put the right frame in it. Many times our picture in life don't look good because it hasn't been properly framed. So a good coach or counselor, they help you frame what you've been through the right way. They don't change it, but they help frame it through God's lens, not just trying to make you feel good, but helping you see God's version of your story. Because you don't see all that. You see it you're looking at it the wrong way. That's what a good counselor, they help you frame that thing to see God's version. That's so good. Now you can be confident. You just saw it the wrong way. Elder, that's so good. Wow, that is so good. You got to believe it. And you don't write it, man, that's real good. We don't choose our purpose. Let me start with you, Elder. We got to get ready to land this plane, but let's stay with you. Wow, the grease, man, you hot like fish grease. So Henderson, put some money on that man, put some money at his desk for us, Eldridge Henderson. Put some money on the altar for that elder. That's some good stuff right there. You hot as fish grease right there, Elder, but we're running out of time. Man, that's real good. I love that, man. You got to, that's your whole version. Many of you ain't read the whole version. And that's why I have mentors and I have friend tours. My friend tours, and I'm always saying, like, help me to frame this. How is Pastor Dow? Am I looking at this the right way? How are you seeing it? I even call the elder sometimes. The elder, how you looking at this, man? This happened, Elder. I want to get your perspective. How do you see this? And you're helping me. You're framing it. Why? So I can put it in the right perspective. Because I might not interpret it the right way. Like, am I interpreting? What do you see in this? That's so important that you have people in your life to help you frame it. Because sometimes your perspective is not right. Elder, let's get ready to close, but share with the person who's watching now, live or replay, that they're having a hard time being confident if they truth be told, because life has not gone the way that they planned. They ain't reached their goals. You talking about preaching goals, Elder Henderson, Elder Powers, and Hill. Y'all talking about these goals. They did that, but they didn't reach them. They don't show it on the outside. They ain't saying it, but deep down on the inside, they're really not confident. And truth be told, they're really disappointed in their life. They disappointed because life ain't went the way that they want. They ain't got, how y'all get up and tell these grand testimonies? Oh, this happened. Oh, all these great grand testimonies that y'all do, they didn't get that great grand testimony. They didn't help that person, Elder. Share with them. As we close, maybe you can hit it to somebody that's in their 30s, then somebody that's like the person that's over 50, because it's different. Kind of hit those two different dimensions. They really not feeling confident. Some may be in their 30s or lower. Some may be in their 50s. Help them before we close tonight.
Yes, Pastor. I think when you're looking at those that are in their 30s or younger, one that they have a hard time understanding that causes them to say, hey, things just not going the way I think they should have went, is they haven't totally given themselves to what they was doing. They haven't totally given themselves to what they're doing. What I mean by that is they give just enough just to say, I tried. And when you have that mentality of, I'm just going to give just enough, I tried, really in the back of your mind, you already going out there expecting to fail. And that's why they have that problem, is because they don't want to give themselves all the way to it. But when you give yourself to it and you totally give yourself to whatever it is that you're doing, even when you're in the midst of sometimes it may not go in your way, you're going to be okay with that, because at the bottom of it, you're going to realize I gave my all. And if I gave my all all is good enough for God. Sometimes it just may not turn out the way I see it, but it's still good enough for God. So that's one of the things I like to give for those people who may be 30 and younger. For those that may be over 50, this is one of the things that I've seen, even I did it myself, is sometimes we get preoccupied with our failures. We get preoccupied with our past failures is what I'm talking about, because that preoccupied with our past failures really can become a confidence killer, because what you're doing is you're looking at everything that you failed on and not looking at, man, you know what? I got more things that I've done positive in my life, but we get so caught up on the thing that we failed 30 years ago, 20 years ago, we're still stuck on there. And the bottom line, what happens with that is we end up dying at that failure at the age of 30. Now we're here at 50, and because we're still trying to deal with what happened at 30, we feel like life is not going as planned it. That's because we're so preoccupied with the failure and not occupied with what's. I stop there.
Focus. That's good, Elder. Elder Power, man, that's good. So we got 30 and 50. Help us, Elder. They're not feeling good, Elder Powers. They really not feeling confident. Hit those people, because you know, we this is therapy. This is good.
Well, Pastor, you're in your 30s.
Or
you know,
younger.
Or younger. 30s or younger. This is my pep talk to 30s or younger. You know, Mike Tyson said, you know, everybody got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. You know, but it's all about how you adjust to the plan when life gets you a blow. It's about how you adjust to it. And life gonna happen. It's something that we can't avoid. Life is gonna happen. And a life don't care about your plan, but you gotta be confident in your read. You got to be confident in your refocus, reset, readjust, resiliency, and you said it already, Pastor, reframe. We got to focus on what's working. We got to be willing to start over. We got to be willing to change the plans that we had and know that that plan might not work, but I'm willing to adjust and change the plans that I had. And bottom line is, some need to toughen up. We need to toughen up and realize that you already have within you to be able to do it, and you can't quit on the first time around. The first time around may not work, but you got to be willing to go back around and go back around and go back around. See, when you fail and hit rock bottom before, then you know what rock bottom feel like, and you don't mind hitting rock bottom. But see, sometimes you got to be willing to fail in order to be able to move forward. And you have to reframe. It might not look the way you wanted to look, but change the way you're looking at it, reframe the situation. It might not be the best situation, but just say, hey, you know, things ain't going good. You might feel like things ain't going good right now, but you got to say to yourself, it might not be going the way I think it should go. That's a reframe mentality, you know, and so I think that's for individuals that's 30 and below. But if you 50 and over, I'll just say there's no timeline to success. There's no timeline to success. You know, Colonel Sanders was old when he was older. I ain't gonna say old. He was older when he created that chicken spot we go to right now. He was older when he did it because he didn't give up because of his age. And I was talking to a family member just the other day, and they felt like unaccomplished, like really unaccomplished because of their age. They didn't get certain things accomplished. And I was just talking to them, and I was like, hey, what do you like to do? Well, you know, I like to help people and support people. I was like, do you still think you can do that at 50-something years old? Yeah. Well, then why don't you go and do it? What's stopping you from going to do it? And so that individual signed up to go to like nursing home to start talking and encouraging like the elderly people. That could have been, that still can be your assignment regardless of what your age is. There's always something for you to do. If you got breath in your body, there's always something for you to do, and there's somebody for you to help and somebody for you to encourage. You can't think life is over over because you reached a certain age. Well, life don't work like that. As long as you still got breath in your body, there's still something that you can be doing.
That's good. That's good. And I researched, the elder says he didn't start cooking till he was in his 40s.
Wow.
He didn't start cooking till he was in his 40s. And then it was maybe like 50 before he started perfecting that recipe. And I read, Muse, you can maybe put it in there. I think Samuel Jackson, I think he was 40 or 50 when he started acting. Somebody put that in there. I think he was like 50 or 40. He wouldn't start. You would think that, Elder Muse, if you own still, somebody put that research to how old when he started acting. Elder Hill, what would you say? That's good. I like that timeline. That's why I say he didn't start cooking till he was 40. Like 50 before he even did the recipe.
Yes, Pastor. I would like, with the 30s, I'll start off with the same thing. Number one, you need to think about commitment, being committed to yourself. Life is setting in. That's not a destiny challenge, but it's just a ripple that's attached to your destiny moving forward. And that's the way you got to look at it. It's just a ripple. All right. It's not going to stop you. It's just a ripple. And ripples by design, only thing they do is they just test your structural resilience in any environment. So meaning, move on. It's a constant. You're going to always have those times of adversities. All right. And so during those times of adversities, just move on. Keep going. All right. Do not stop. And if you're committed, you can identify and you can recognize those ripples. And for my 50 and older, all right, be honest with yourself, reevaluate your options. It's still time to adjust for a positive future. Believe it or not, I mean, right now, as far as with technology, 60 is almost like a new 40 because people are still having witty inventions and, they are still being creative and they're actually still finding new ways of remarketing themselves and rebranding themselves. So, if you're in that age group, don't give up. You can always rebrand yourself. I mean, there are so many opportunities that are out there. Only thing you have to do is just allow your imagination, pray, and move forward.
That's good, Elder. Like you said, to rebrand themselves. It's never too late. And like Muse, thank you, Muse. I looked it up too. Think about when he got his first. You would think he was doing his first major movie role is at 46. Wow. The rebrand. Wow. This has been good, gentlemen. Let's get ready to land this plane. If you enjoyed this tonight, let our elders know, boy, I know it's just so much that we could chop up. I think to get that, but we're leaving with this confident spirit. God's giving us some tools to know that it's not too late. That you can, if you're younger, you can fight for it and learn. You're older, it's not too late to like you said, to rebrand. You said the new, the age with life expectancy and stuff. If you enjoyed this tonight, let everybody know how you enjoyed it. Let's close with this, gentlemen. Anything on your heart, we want to let you close with. I know we really didn't get into. We talked about adults facing peer pressure. You hit on the Elder Henderson, but Powers talked about that. But maybe you can share. In adults, we think about peer pressure with kids, but you hit on the Henderson. But what about peer pressure concerning our dreams? How can we, overcome that? What are ways that adults face peer pressure? We know kids says don't do drugs and don't smoke, just say no. What about adult peer pressure? And how can we overcome that? Let's end with that tonight. We'll start with you, Elder Hill. Let's end with that tonight. Well, peer pressure with adults and accomplishing their dreams and their assignments, because we normally think about drugs and stuff like that when we think about peer pressure.
Well, Pastor, first of all, I would say, you should use that energy to help propel you to move forward. Because even in peer pressure, you know, there is a hidden benefit if you know how to spot it, because those people that are criticizing you and you know, doing adverse crazy stuff, a lot of times they can actually help you to have the capability of being subjective and objective, helping you to move forward. Basically, what they can actually help you to do is they can actually help you to fine tune your thought process moving forward. But you have to be positive in yourself in order to do that.
Positive in yourself to do that. That's good. Elder Powers, with that peer pressure with adults, man, what would you say?
I'll say the pressure to abandon your assignment, just, you know, because it may
adults
not
will try to get you to abandon your assignment.
Huh?
They'll try to get you to abandon your assignment.
Oh yeah, Pastor. Abandon your assignment, because when things it can be challenging. You know, it can get overwhelming. It can be tough. It can be hard. People can get on your last nerves, you know, and people think it's easy, especially, you know, dealing with, you know, church people. Nah, but it ain't easy dealing with people, period. It's not easy. And so there's a lot of pressure to abandon your assignment because you're not getting the results that you want or desire. You know, you see, like we was talking about popularity, you see like the grand spectacle things that's going on, and you don't feel like you're getting those results. You know, you can abandon your assignment. Or you see people want to chase the bag. You know, you want to chase the bag instead of doing what you call to do. You want to chase after money because, you know, you're not getting the results that you want. You want to chase the bag, and that can be a lot of pressure because what you're doing, it might not get the results. Like, for instance, there's a big difference between a salary of a doctor and a police officer, but they both are impacting lives. They both are, you know, can potentially save lives. So, but if the police officer look at how much money that the doctor have, it can make him want to try to do something different, even though he was called to be a police officer. So that's the thing. Like we talked about it before with the assignments in church, you can see the glitz and the glam on what you perceive to be popular doing one thing in ministry, and then you can abandon your assignment because the pressure of want to be in those shoes or want to be popular. So it's really important to really to know your assignment and be comfortable with your assignment, regardless of what come with it. Whether it come with a bag, whether it come with popularity, be comfortable with who you are and walking in your assignment, and then those pressures won't get to you.
Wow. Because I've often said, how much is enough? And the greedy person would always say, just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. I want a little bit more. And you could, that's become peer pressure, and the world could do that. We got to feed our families, gentlemen. A good man leave an inheritance for his children's children. We should leave an inheritance. But if we're not careful, what some people are not careful with it, they could live their whole life and make dollars but never reach destiny. Or they could chase dollars and never reach destiny. You chasing the dollar your whole life and you miss your purpose in life. And so I think that's the pressure in that. If you're not careful in that you miss your assignment. That's good. Elder Henderson, you close us out tonight with that. What would you say as we close tonight? This has been wonderful.
Yes, Pastor. I think we have to understand when it's dealing with our dreams, we have to leave those what we call relentless when it comes to assignment, because relentless critiquers are those people that you do, but always discourage you about what you're doing. You got to constantly monitor that. That I come up to and says, well, I just want to give you some constructive criticism. Ain't no such thing as constructive criticism. Criticism is designed to tear you down, bottom line. So when people come up saying, I'm finna give you some constructive criticism, no, they're not. They're coming up to tear you down. Now, if they come up and they say, hey, I want to give you some construction correction, that's different. Because there's a difference between criticizing somebody and correcting somebody. So when you're dealing with your dreams and stuff, you got to be able to identify those people. If they're constantly coming up to you and all they want to do is criticize you, and they never come up and talk about some things that they may help you correct, then you got to leave those people alone. How do you leave those people alone? Sometimes you just got to check them. You just got to check them, because you're going to have those people come up. I don't know why you're doing this and that. I don't know why it don't, it don't call for all that. Then that's when you check them. It call for all that for me. What you doing over there doesn't call for all that. Once you check them, they'll get it.
I like that. That go back to your cup, Elder. Different somebody trying to help you, because how many know it's easy to point out an error. It's easy to figure out what's wrong. It's easy to go to a dinner and figure out what food they could have cooked and what's not, what's cold, right? But how many know it's hard to fix that whole meal? So they should have had a salad instead of this. But so it's easy to pick out in the critique, but to correct. So man, that's good, Elder. That's back to our cup. We pray that you all have enjoyed tonight. I know I have. Thank you, scribes, and all of you all for sharing with us, Elder Muse and everybody that chimed in tonight. You helped make this so much better. He was 73 when he won that. Wow, that's the whole thing. It ain't no time limit. When he won his first Academy Award last year. Wow. New Life family, we love you. We pray that you enjoyed this time. Go back and watch the replay of this. It's some gems in this. We look forward to seeing you on this Sunday. We're going to continue to deal with the right mentalities that cause us to birth out brilliance when we have the right mindset. Good night, everybody. We love you. We look forward to our next time together. Great discussion on the night.